My day was good, Aradhya. How was your day? My day was very good. Yeah, that's good. Figuring out our mistakes is a good idea. Mm-hmm. Good evening, Kushal. Good evening, Sakal. Kushal has a doubt. Let me view the doubt. Please help me with this doubt. Let me pick the doubt. Connection refused. Have you seen, Kushal, that the MongoD is working on? Are you working on? Are you working on Mac or Windows? Where are you working? Which operating system are you working on? Mac. Okay, so Kushal, what you need to do is you need to run the MongoD command and see if MongoD is running. And check this command. Uh, MongoD. If MongoD is not running, there are few steps that you have to follow. First is to install MongoD. Uh, First is to install MongoD. Okay. Second is to have you installed it using Brew? Brew. Which software did you use for installing MongoD? MongoD service. Telegram from website. Try to install it using this link. Let me give you a link. No, MongoDB on Mac. Um, so I'm giving you a link. You can follow this link from Mongo. Can you give a command to install it? Yes, I'm giving you the whole link. It has all. Try to read the link. It has all the details. Try to follow the brew version of doing it. Like if you follow the brew version of doing it, you will not find it difficult. I hope you have brew installed on Homebrew installed on your computer. Second is we are using notification type in main CRM, so we can send notification. Now there's a microservice over. No, yes, you can think of CRM notification app as okay. You can install Homebrew. It also have it also have description of how to install Homebrew. So there's a way you can install. If you read this documentation, it will tell you uh, how to install Homebrew. There's a official instruction site. I can show it to you. It's a very small command that you need to run. Yeah, just go to this link, and this will tell you how to install Homebrew. And once you have installed Homebrew, so these are the steps that you need to follow basically. Yeah, I understand, Kush. I'm sorry, I just missed I missed you. You asked me about this doubt, and I was not able to. I was not able to solve your doubt. I'm sorry for that. So starting is to install Homebrew. Once you have installed Homebrew, you need to install Mongo DB using the Homebrew. It is a community version, and you can install that. Okay. Once you have installed using it, you can run MongoD from the shell. And once you run this, you can do everything else that you have been trying to do. Okay. So the first step you have to follow whenever you face a problem like the one you have faced today is to go to the official documentation. Okay. Uh, or to go to the official documentation and see what the documentation says about installing a particular software on your computer. Once you have done that, 90% of the times you will know how to do it. And yeah, just go there. This problem will happen a lot of times when you go into a job also. You will be stuck at a particular place and you will not know how to move forward. And the deadline will be coming close and you will not have anything to show up for. The best way for that is again to go to the best way to go to the official documentation and figure it out. Okay, let me see. NPM test. Okay, so today we are going to talk about something which is important for your app for different versions, different ways of looking at the same thing. Um, and this is, we have done this course in a little convoluted way, purely for pedagogy purposes, purely for teaching you how to build an app. I have done this course in this format. Ideally, you should have started from when you build an app, you should start from the test and then build the features. Okay, that's what test-driven development is all about. Okay, so today we are going to talk about testing our app. How are we going to testing our app? How are we going to perform the test on our apps? Our app. Have you ever thought about that? Using Jest, of course, we will use Jest as the testing platform. Yes, this will be the module that we'll need. But what do you understand by a test? Postman we cannot perform. We will not use Postman for testing. That is not the right way of testing your app, because you will always run into things that you will think that your app is running, but actually it won't be running on certain cases, and you will not know which cases it is running and which cases it is not running. We need a better way. We don't want every time you so let's discuss this. Kushal has a valid point. We can test our app using Postman. What is the problem with this approach? Testing using Postman. I have built a feature. I send all the possible requests that needs to be sent, and I check all the scenarios. I know that my app is running on all the scenarios, so I know that my app is fine. What is the problem with this approach? Checking our app from Postman. How many network requests will we make via Postman? That's okay. We can make enough network requests. Oh, I understand if the app is very big, then it might be a problem. But there's one more problem which is lurking behind the case. Behind using just testing, valid output result or not. That is also okay. We don't know server is up or not. We can check that. If the server is not up, then Postman will say we have not. You cannot connect to it. Okay. Some expected values of some functionality and compare them. We can check the expected values, and that's okay. That is also something we can do with Postman. But why do you always not? Why do people don't do that? Suppose there are 10 developers working on a code base. Okay. Now this developer who is Rizwan has made a change, and all of them are working on the code. Rizwan made a change in a particular piece of code. He went to Postman. He tested his change, and the change was working fine. So he asked the team to push the changes to production. Now, what happened in the production was the app just failed. The app actually started failing for a lot of users. There was a production error that was occurring. He tested his part of the code very well, Rizwan. But what happened was, can you guess what would have happened to cause a production failure? Can you guess what has happened that has caused the production failure? Other programmers do not have the changes reflected in their code base. No, you can assume that they are working on a same code base. They are working on a single repository, so everyone knows the changes. That's not a problem. Anyone else? Try to guess something. Expected. Okay, I was telling a story of 10 programmers working on a code base, and Rizwan made some changes. He tested all his changes on Postman, and they were working fine. He was getting the right results. But when the code went to production, there were unexpected failures that were happening. Okay, Archit? Now, can you tell me why were these production failures happening in the code? Although Rizwan has tested his code properly. Prod is different? No, that is the same repository that went into prod. No, prod is not different from dev. That's not the problem. Yeah, prod is showing errors. A lot of functionality is showing errors. Code is not in production. No, it is in production. The problem that is occurring is, although Rizwan has tested thoroughly his piece of code, whatever code he has contributed, but that code actually interacted with some other code or some other code written by other 9 developers, and that was failing. That started showing some error. Can you think of this scenario? Like, you have this big code and you tested all your functionality, but suddenly the changes you have made is causing other code to fail. And that can cause a lot of problem. So it's not just that you write, test, and deploy. Yes, it will make sense, Kushal. I'll explain. It is not a linear process that you write, test, and deploy. It's not like once you have written the code and you test it thoroughly and you deploy, your task is done. What happens is code is revisited again and again. Okay? Somebody will write something else on the code. Somebody will add some more things onto it. Think of it like a house that keeps on building on its own. Okay? Now, what happens is, as soon as a new change happens in the code, you don't want the older features to stop working. And therefore, you write test cases. Test cases ensures your code is going to work. Okay? Does that make sense? Like, it should be agile in nature. Yeah, it should be agile, but it should be robust actually. What it means is a robust thing. Imagine there is a Rube Goldberg. Sir, but a real developer never writes this. Who said that, Archit? that is said not. That is not said by a real developer for sure. A real. No. That's not. No. That is not the way. No. What is the consequence of testing using? First of all, you cannot ensure that over time your code will keep on running. Okay, that's the problem. You want to test your code in such a manner that anyone who makes a change on your code knows that he has not broken some older code. Does that make sense? With Postman, you can test. With Postman, you cannot guarantee that your code will be valid across time. But writing tests, you can be sure that whatever code you have written will be tested every time somebody makes a change. Therefore, you have continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines. They can automatically test that everything in your app is working fine, and then you can send it to production. How is this prod conflict avoided by writing tests? Didn't get. Okay, so what happens is, suppose Avijit has implemented a sign-in functionality. Okay, and he was checking all the sign-in processes, and sign-in was working fine. Okay, now tomorrow Hariharan accounts, He implements a new feature in sign up. While people are signing up, there is a new feature that he has added. Maybe he has added OAuth or something. While testing sign up, he has tested sign up thoroughly. He is able to see that sign up is working properly. He is getting the proper response. But he has not tested sign in process. He has only tested the sign up process. But due to the change in the sign up, now suddenly sign in has stopped working. And Abhijit and Hariharan has no way of knowing that sign up has stopped working because it was implemented by Abhijit. Okay. If Abhijit would have written tests, unit test, it is not integration level, it is actually unit test, Archit. Integration is when you are testing a notification app and the CRM app both. Okay. Now, if Abhijit would have written unit test and Hariharan has also written unit test, then what will happen is as soon as Hariharan runs his test, he will know that, okay, suddenly the sign-in tests are failing and I need to do something about it. So he'll try to fix that part also. Or if he is not willing to fix, he will inform Abhijit about the test, about the errors. Does that make sense? But he still doesn't have the sign-in functionality. He has the sign-in functionality. So you implemented sign-up first. Sign-up was implemented first. Then sign-in was implemented, and then sign-up was changed due to some feature changes. Okay, and suddenly sign-in stopped working. Does that make sense, Abhijit? Suppose the app you have right now, you change some functionality in sign-up. Then suddenly the sign-in stopped working. What will you do? You'll go back and you need a way of knowing that. Yes, does that make sense, Abhijit? This change would be detected by a postman also. It will be detected if you do sign-in testing. I'm just giving you an example. You can always say that he has checked sign-in, but suppose he's not checking sign-in, or suppose he's not checking some other function like post ticket or something like that. Okay. I'm just giving an example where it can go wrong. Okay. How would TDP done in our app, for our app? That's what I'm going to cover now. But if you give me 1 minute, I'll take some water. If we did it from start, that would be the best way. Ideally, what you need to do is not to write features until you have written the test cases. So the test-driven development that people talk about goes like this: a business person comes up, maybe a product manager comes up with some requirements. These requirements are converted into specifications. These specs are then converted into tests, and these tests are then converted into, after writing the test, you write the features. That's how the process should go. And you keep on writing tests and testing the features simultaneously. You write a small bunch of code, test it, then write some more and test it, and then write some more and test it. Okay? That's the process you should follow ideally when you're writing code. Okay? Yeah, test should be written before the code ideally. That is the right way to do it. I mean, there should be a small cycle. It is similar to how a lean startup method works. How do you build a startup? You don't think of a 10-year plan to build a startup. That's not how you build a startup. You have a hypothesis about it. You test the hypothesis. And once the hypothesis is tested, you build a small feature. And that feature help you test that, create another hypothesis. And you can circle through this process. The more you circle through this process, the better, the easier you will be building a startup. But if you decide that I'll have a 10-year plan, I'll build this and then and it will work, that's not how a startup works. But difficulty to think the critical test without writing code. Yeah, that's actually what you need to do. You need to bring the test from the specifications. Okay. Oh, okay. Just give me a few minutes. I'll bring some water for myself. My throat is okay. My throat is dry right now. And my wife will bring it. No worries. Okay, so why don't we start coding then? Yes. Sure. So there are a few things that we'll need for. First of all, I'll create a new folder. Uh, so I'll just go here and copy this and paste it. How is test coverage determined? It is determined based on the use cases. Like every so imagine your code to be a graph, and if you are testing all the nodes of that graph, then you have 100% test cases, test coverage. I'll show it to you in just few minutes. It's a good question. What is the rate? I think it is 4. Let me comment these changes first. Let me comment the bare basic, and then we'll get. Sir, is it a subfolder? Yes, it is a subfolder inside. I'll push this in there and it will make sense. This is a 14 folder. Okay. Yeah, I'll push this in this. Okay, so first step would be to create a test folder which will contain all the tests um, for your app. Create a test folder, and there are a couple of things that you need in this test folder. First need would be something called as DB server. So I'll just write db.js. And first thing you need is something called as MongoDB memory server. What is that? Const Mongo memory server is equal to required MongoDB memory server. What does this do? Can anyone guess? Can you guess what this will be doing? This is a server. This is a module. Okay, this is a library that you can use. Oh, sorry, this is a package that you can use to get whatever functionality you want from MongoDB from the memory itself. You don't want to save it to the hard disk. Okay. Uh, Imagine this to be a server that keeps on running uh, on your RAM, and all the things that you are saving is going to the RAM instead of going to the hard disk. What that does is it speeds up the testing process because you don't have to go to the hard disk to fetch the values. And second, you don't have to touch your MongoDB server as such. So you don't have to touch your MongoDB as such. You can just work from this server as a proxy for that. Does that make sense? You can use this as a proxy for your server. Okay, I'm not writing require. Thank you. Okay, let me save this. Okay, does that make sense? Having a proxy server? Okay. Come again, sir. What I'm saying is you can have a MongoDB like server running in the memory itself. Okay, you don't want to go back to the hard disk all the time. The MongoDB server that we have talked about earlier actually runs on the hard disk, and sometimes it is slow. But for testing purposes, you need another server so that you don't hit the original server. And for that, we are creating a MongoDB memory server. Does that? Yeah, no need to go to Mongo campus. Yeah, that is not needed. Okay. So, and once you also need Mongoose to work on this. So require we would so would the data be temporary? Yeah, it will be temporary, and once we are done with it, we will actually delete the data. We are actually going to delete all the data as we move out of the tests. I will have let Mongo be and then now Mongo module dot exports dot connect. There will be a connect functionality which will connect to the MongoDB for the proxy server, and it will be if MongoDB is not defined, then MongoDB is equal to await Mongo memory server dot create a new server, and then you can have URI of this server, which is actually equal to mongod dot get URI. So you have the URI, which is how to install. Have you installed MongoDB's memory server? Yes, I have done that, Ankit. I have written here. If you see here, um, I've written install a MongoDB memory server. Okay, I have actually installed it. Okay, get the URI. Is it for testing? Yes, it is for testing, Ankit. The use of MongoDB memory server is to get extra server running in memory, so you don't have to worry about your MongoDB server. Okay. Where and how are server logs stored for apps? There is a logging process. That's a different process. Instead of so what people do is they build a logging process, and the server logs are stored in extra files that are stored on the server. Okay, you can have some files that are not stored in the DB. They're stored on files, and typically what happens is there are specialized services for storing logs. You call that service and say, please store this log, and then last 24 days or last 2-3 days the logs will be stored on in file format, and then you can access those files. Okay. Aradez, will it make new DB? It will make a proxy DB. It will create a new database inside the memory itself. It will not touch the MongoDB or MongoDB server. Okay, it will be a server running in the memory. Yeah. Now what we'll have is const mongoose option. Mongoose options will be use unified topology. I don't know what this do, but URI means unique resource identifier. It is similar to URL. Think of it like URL that you have. Okay, it will tell you where you can access the server. What is MongoDB? MongoDB is the server that you are running. You remember we used to run this command for running the MongoDB server. It is similar to that command. There are some mongoose options that you can send to speed up the process. It's not required. You can directly do away with this, but yeah. You can do mongoose dot connect. You can connect to URI mongoose option. That's all there is to do to connect to the server. What is MongoDB? MongoDB is just a variable stored in the server that you have created. It is similar to the command that you used to run the MongoDB server. Okay. Does that make sense, Ankit? Does this code make sense? Okay. That's how you can connect to the server. There will be two more commands that you will need. First is to close the database, and the other is to clear the database. Okay. Module dot exports dot close database. This is also be a sync function. Nothing.
दिए थे रे, नहीं लगाई। हाँ यार, अच्छा।
Good evening, students. Let's wait for a few minutes for everyone to join.
मरियम जी
Good evening, students. Let's wait for a few minutes for everyone to join. Good evening, Radha.
नहीं देखना।
My day was good, Aradhya. How was your day? My day was very good. I did. If I open this, let me see what I don't have proper app to open this, but if you open it, you will see all the data as it is.